15 years. That's about how long I'd been playing guitar before I learned how to play along with another guitarist without just strumming basic chords. The cool thing is that once you get this, what used to be kind of boring rhythm guitar parts can almost feel like you're playing an entire solo. You get to improvise, you get to stand out, and not simply just strum along. But most importantly, this approach really adds to the music. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. You're 15 years into your guitar journey, maybe more, maybe you're just getting started, but either way, if you feel stuck strumming along during a jam, this lesson is going to give you some things that will help you level up your rhythm parts. And we're going to get started by taking a look at really the thing that's behind the first section of the example. So in the track, there's an acoustic guitar strumming and changing back and forth one measure each between C major and F major. And we could double that, but we want to do something a little bit more interesting. So I think maybe the next logical choice is to stay with these chord shapes and maybe pick out. And that definitely sounds cool. Maybe you should do that at some point, but we're going to do something that takes us up the neck a little bit. So over this strumming pattern, switch to this. Now I'm still playing a C chord and an F chord, but I'm just getting to the heart of it really. I'm barring across the strings 4, 3, and 2, and the 5th fret for the C, and then up to the 10th fret for the F. And that is a C chord, and this is an F chord. It's actually the most basic form of both of those chords, a triad, a 3-note chord. To play a C major, you just got to have a C as the root, that's on the 3rd string, and then the 3rd, the major 3rd, that's the E on the 2nd string, and then the 5th is actually below, that's the G on the 4th string. This is all at the 5th fret, and because that root is not the lowest note, we'll call this an inversion. But this is a great little triad shape to get to know, and it comes in handy because it's nice and comfy to play on the fretboard here. And keep in mind that wherever you are fretted, the root note's going to be on the 3rd string, so we can have a C if we stay at the 5th fret. We come up and we've got a D. Up again, just moving by 2 frets there, we got an E, and then one more, we've got our F. We could even go up an octave here and go above the 12th fret to do that. It's good to do that and mix it up. And speaking of mixing it up, I'm definitely mixing up the rhythm a little bit here. Notice that I'm not just playing everything that the acoustic guitar is. We're giving it some space. And even some of those little scratches to keep things nice and interesting on the rhythm side of things. By the way, if you're a premium member, you're going to have access to the tab for this example, and you can find the track in the backing track library. Just look for lesson ID BT024024. And if you're not already a member, you can join up at the link below. But right now, let's just pause. And we're already getting some wins in the game of standing out and doing something different. And it didn't take all that much, nothing really complex on the fretboard to do it, but we can actually do more. One of my favorite things about this particular voicing of a triad is that it lends itself so well to those cool embellishments. We can just stay planted here and maybe we'll move around a little bit, but we can really just kind of keep our eye on where the root is, again on the 3rd string, and then we can do these cool moves, hammer-ons, pull-offs, double stops, just 2 frets above. And the cool thing is, I think this is a great one to get into and start thinking about this way of playing rhythm guitar because it's kind of comfortable. We can just keep our index finger kind of planted in one spot, and then we're hammering or pulling off with probably our next strongest finger, the ring finger. We don't have to worry about half steps or anything like that. We're just hammering up or pulling off 2 frets. It still sounds really good. And the only exception maybe to staying planted is you can use that 5th string to slide in. That's a really cool thing to do as well. And really what's happening there is if I just play the 5th, 4th, and 3rd, I've just got another different voicing of a C major chord. So that's why this all really works well together. That's a C major chord. That's a C major chord. Pretty cool. And again, we can take this up the fretboard and do this same sort of idea of embellishing around our chord with now the F chord being played. And here I get some of that double stop goodness going in, hammer up on the 4th string from the 10th to the 12th, but you hear that 3rd string at the 10th as well. Really cool and classy moves. To me, this is a lot more fun than just strumming basic chords, and it sounds better too, in my opinion. But here's the cool part. These little additions, they don't really require much thinking. I'm not worried about scales or thinking about any fancy musical theory thing while I'm playing like this. I'm just playing what feels good in the moment. But now, there's one more trick that I want to show you that really takes this up a whole nother level. Now we get to connect different shapes and different inversions of the triad. So instead of sticking with this inversion of both the C major and the F major triad, now we can start to mix in some shapes. And we kind of create little melody lines just by doing that. Listen to this, from C major to F major, back to C major, but this time we're at the root position triad, rooted on the 4th string, 10th fret. Then we've got our 3rd at the E on the 3rd string and our 5th on the 2nd string at the 8th fret. And we can just kind of slip into it. Once we know where these triad shapes are laid out, we can change into them and let that be the new sort of grounding spot for some cool embellishments, like this one that I love over this triad shape. So also, instead of just playing these 3 strings, also bar the top 2 strings so that you're playing the 1st string at the 8th fret as well. That's a C note, by the way, so good note to know where it is. That's the root. And with that bar, we can hammer on the 2nd string while picking through the 2nd and the 1st. Come back, and we got a really cool little embellishment lick here. Then we can come up to the 10th fret and pull down. Remember, that 9th fret is the 3rd of our chord. So it's a really cool move to just kind of pull off into that, right? So we can kind of noodle around and learn how to get some really cool embellishments from this particular shape as well. And then say we want to slip back into F, but stay kind of close to this, we can come up and play this version, which is kind of a continuation of the shape that we've already been playing. See, so much of it is here at the 10th fret, right? And then for fun, just did a little octave shape before another C major shape right here. Looks like a D chord, but because of where we're playing it, the root is on the 2nd string. So on the 2nd string here, there's your D. We just come up and play it at the 12th and 13th fret, and we got a cool C major. So now we can kind of take this idea of embellishing and mixing these triad shapes and create some really cool moments, maybe even off the cuff once you get the hang of it and know where the triads are. Nice. Now we've got a really cool sounding part that moves around the fretboard, and it isn't just strumming along, it adds something different to the music. And when you incorporate the embellishment ideas, you can jam along pretty freely and create something unique on the fly, all while really playing rhythm guitar. It's really cool. And the thing is though, it's easy to get lost on the fretboard, especially if you've never spent any time to really learn how it's organized. And not understanding that is gonna hold you back. And that's why I made the fretboard toolkit. It will help you learn where the notes are. And I've even just added the 7-day triad trainer to give you some practice of where the triads are laid out on the neck. That's really one thing that will help you get this thing into your playing. So you can pick that up at the link in the description or right there. And I'll see you in the next lesson. Until then, practice smart and play on.